So I just used AI to do the financial analysis on a $300,000 business acquisition, and it only took me 45 minutes. So I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So first of all, I was looking to buy a small business, and at a high level, the financials looked really promising. It looked like a super good deal. One of the biggest mistakes people make when buying a small business is paying too much. And so it's really important to verify that the numbers are correct. But in this case, the top line numbers that were provided to me actually looked pretty good. But I wanted to understand really the inner workings of the business. I wanted to see where the revenue was coming from, who was buying, what they were buying, and over what period of time. I've been in the tech world for many, many years, and I've been focusing on AI the last few years. I'm actually launching a new AI consulting company that we're doing some development and implementation for businesses. So this was just a really good test to see what the tools can do. All right, so the first step is I exported everything, just the raw data in CSV format. So this is just a basic transaction report. It's every single line item from every invoice and every sales receipt over about a 3-year period. And so I just saved this to my computer in a folder. The next thing is I'm going to open up an application called Cursor and Claude Code inside of Cursor. So here we are in Cursor, and we've got Claude Code open as well. Different tools you can use for this. You can use different agents beside Claude Code, and different IDEs besides Cursor. I know this looks a little overwhelming, but it's actually quite simple. And even for technical, non-programmer people, this is really a great tool. So you can see I've got my transaction data. Just to be clear, I have anonymized everything. I actually had, prior to this video, I had Claude write a script or a little program to take all of the data and create fake names for everything, for the customers and the products and all that stuff. We're going to jump right in. I'm using a voice transcriber app on my computer that I like. So I've got a hotkey. I can just push it, and then I can just talk to Claude Code. So I'm looking at purchasing a business. It is a small agency that offers AI consulting services to other businesses. And it looks really good on paper at the high level from the financials, but I've exported all the raw transaction data from QuickBooks. So this will include every line item on every sales receipt and invoices. For right now, it also has expense data. For right now, I just want to focus on the sales numbers. And I want to get a really detailed idea of what this business is doing. So I want you to use Python and Streamlit to analyze the data and create a dashboard. And I would suggest you put the data into an SQLite database, but feel free to suggest any ideas that you have yourself. So there's two things that I want to focus on to begin with. One is sales by customers, and one is sales by products. So I want two separate dashboards for these. On both of them, though, I really want to see sales by customers over time, so more like a Gantt chart style. So on the horizontal lines would be a customer for each line, and then you'd have the time. And every sale would be a dot. And if you can also look at the line item in the invoice and probably get a sense of the time frame. So I want to analyze all of that ahead of time. So if there's something that says like 3-month contract or 3-month retainer, then we can actually display that on this Gantt chart. If there's no time, we can just display it as a dot. And then I want to do exactly the same thing for the products. So I want to be able to see the products over time. If there's multiple invoices or purchases on the same day, then make the dot larger so that we can clearly see that. I'm also going to want to see revenue trends over time. I want to have a date selector so I can choose different time frames and have it automatically filter the date. Anyways, yeah, let me know if you have any other ideas, but I think that's a good start. All right, so that was super fun. Let's just pop that in. One thing is, sometimes this can take quite a bit of time. So what you can do is you can actually open up another window, and we'll drag this out, and so we can see them side by side. So now we just want to make sure we're not doing anything that will conflict, but this window is not aware of what it's doing, but it is aware of the files that are over here in the folder. And again, these are just files. I can open up my Finder and I'll see all the same stuff that's here. So let's just do this one. Hey there, I'm looking to purchase a business and I'm doing some financial analysis. Can you give me some suggestions on this is just on the income trend right now, so I don't want to do any expense reporting, but I want to understand the customer behavior and the products that are being sold. So I'm already looking at doing some like customer purchases over time and product purchases over time. but I'd love to have you give me some additional suggestions on how I could analyze this, and maybe, good ways of visualizing it as well. All right, so now that one can work. So you can see this one's actually working through a plan, and it's going to basically check them off as it goes. And at the end, with any luck, we'll have something to look at. All right, so now this one's actually also, look, it's already looking at my data, and now it's going to give me some suggestions. So this will be really good. Customer retention, cohort analysis. So you kind of have two options here, is you can read all of this, or you can just say, that sounds great, and do it. Now, I generally, depending on the importance of the project, I will read this, and I might even make edits to it, go back and forth, say, are you sure that's a good idea? But in this case, this is a pretty simple thing. And it's pretty hard to mess this up. So I'm just going to say, I like all these ideas. Can you create a document in a docs folder with a plan to implement all this so that we can come back to and add this on once we're done with the first two charts? Okay, it looks like we're coming to the end here. Now it's going to want to test the dashboard. I like this. Here you can see it's actually making the docs folder for me. I like that. You can see we've starting to have some files show up here. That's this session is starting to create this. It's basically creating a little program for us. There's our database. So it's doing everything for us. So now it created this doc, and I can actually open that up here and view it. And if you right click, you can go into preview, and I can view this in a formatted version. So I could edit this here manually. I can read through it, but also the AI agent now can read all of this and implement it. So it is good to, on bigger projects, it's really good to make bigger plans and go through them and edit them and refine them before you start implementing. Okay, so let's go to our dashboard. All right, so here we are. So remember, this was just a single prompt that we put in. There's been no refinement yet. This was a one shot. So I'm already seeing a couple things that I like in terms of the data. I like that it added in, total revenue numbers, total transactions, 40 customers, average, number of products. I didn't even ask for all that, and it put it all together. Really liking that. This looks really good. This is super cool now. Okay, so this is the customer timeline. I probably will come back to this, but this is super cool. Like I can mouse over it and actually see what it was, how many transactions. Let's come down here. Okay. Oh, wow. Top 15 customers, their total revenue. So that's kind of weird. Unknown. Something weird is going on there. We'll come back to that. Monthly revenue. Wow, this is a cool heat map. I love that. Okay, so you see we got a lot more than we asked for. And this is the fun thing about AI, is it can be pretty creative. And then we got product analysis, and this is the same thing. Now this is really interesting too. It also added a filter. So we can actually go down and filter down on things and get much more detail. Very cool. Okay, revenue trend. Yeah, so this is weird, right? So this is a big red flag to me, right? So I would now dig deeper into the bookkeeping, and I've already done this, so I do know what this was, but there was basically a mistake in the bookkeeping, and that shouldn't have been counted as income. Someone did a really weird journal entry or something. Anyway, they did something really, really bad bookkeeping there. So I was able to correct that. But if I was seeing this for the first time, I would have immediately noticed that. Okay, so this is incredible. And then we've got our, dates that we can do there. Okay, so now let's see, we've got a couple options here. We can go back. I have another document called analysis-plan.md. And in that, we've detailed out some additional charts and way of visualizing things. Some of this might be redundant with what we've already created. So just go through that plan, compare to what we already have, and implement any of the ideas that are in there that we don't already have. Now, that's doing that. Maybe we'll go back and look. So there's already something that I want to know that isn't in here, and we'll see if it's in the other plan. But I want to know concentration by customers. So I'd like to know, how many customers were making up the revenue. So we might look at how many customers generated the top 50% of revenue or something like that. It already doesn't look that good. The fact that there's only 40 customers and this is over 3 years, that's kind of a problem for me as well. But I think as we dig more into this and we're going to let AI, finish, we're going to find some really interesting things. Okay, so we just finished up this round of implementation. It went through that whole list. So now I'm very curious to see what we got. So let's just refresh. It looks to me like it added another, this is new, risk analysis. Oh, wow. So I was going to ask for this, but it already figured this out. Okay. Top customer percentage, 21%. What does this mean? Critical due diligence. Dependency on key customers. I love that it actually like identifies what it means. So it's not just giving me the data, but it's also telling me what it means here. The top 5 customers, I guess, are generating 60% or more than 60% of the revenue. Top 10 is 85. This is very interesting. Wow. I love these charts. Look at this. I mean, this is amazing, right? To just see it broken down like that. If you try to do this in Excel or even think about it, the thing that I like about this the most is I didn't have to put that much thought into it. So active customers over time. So that's pretty cool. Customer retention curve, cohort heat map. Okay. I'd have to dig in, look at this in more detail. Revenue quality. Okay. Recurring revenue versus one time. Okay. That's interesting. This is just incredible. There's something that I want to see that isn't here. So let's just go back. There's one more chart that I want to see. I'd really like to see new customers per month, like how many new customers were acquired every month. And if that's 0, I want to show 0. And I'd like that on, some kind of trend chart. If there's anything else that would be useful, around this type of data, also include that. But that's the key thing that I want to see now. Okay, so this is so fun just to be putting this in and then go watch it work. And so, you can look in here and you can look at the app and you can look at all the code if you want. But to me, I don't actually understand this. I understand a tiny bit of it, like these things, but I never really look at it. And so it's completely fine, for what this is doing. If you were building a piece of software that other people were going to use, obviously it's important that you know what's going on and you know what the AI is doing. This is something that's designed just for my local system. You notice there's no security, there's no login. This would never go out on the web. I'm going to just shut it down when I'm done. There's also so many things that go on behind the scenes here that if you were developing this by hand, you'd be creating the database, schemas, you'd be starting servers, stopping servers, looking at error messages. And it's just, Claude is just doing everything for you. Okay, so this is fascinating. So these are months that there were no new customers. This month was 1 customer, 3 customers. So this is obviously very, very concerning. And this is what it's starting to point to, is that there's just a lot of customer concentration, where very correctly identified here as the biggest risk, where most of our revenue is coming from just a handful of customers. So I could dig into that more and understand what those customers are buying, but bottom line, this is just too big of a risk. And so for these reasons, I actually decided to not move forward with the business purchase, which was unfortunate because I actually really liked the owner. I really liked the people in the business. I thought it would be a good boost to what I'm already doing with starting my own AI agency. But I was incredibly lucky to be able to do this level of analysis so quickly because it helped me make the decision very fast. Otherwise, I might have been in it a lot more. I might have gotten emotionally attached. I might have ended up having to make a decision just on a gut feeling. And so this made it very, very easy, very, very fast to just say, you know what, looks like a good business or looks, whatever it is, but I just can't move forward with it at this time. And even if you weren't buying the business, like if I owned this business, or I'll do this on my own businesses, because this is incredible to be able to see this about your own business. Most companies have no idea of what's actually happening at this kind of level. So you could just export your own data, put it through an analysis like this, especially if you're thinking about selling a company, because these are the kinds of things that people that are buying are going to look at. And so at any point in time, you want to be thinking about these kinds of things, and it'll help you make really good business decisions. So I have a couple other applications like this that I'm working on and going to make some videos about. I have one where I've been exporting huge databases of email conversations from customer service help desks and just even my own personal email, and using AI to analyze the conversations and find important relationships and people, even potential customers that might have been lost or missed and I should be following up on. And it's super, super powerful what you can do, as well as I'm developing a bunch of other products. So definitely Stay tuned for more of that and let me know if there's anything that I can help you with. Thanks.